Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers. I hope everybody is well. I'm Martin, and tonight I am joined by Kerr, and returning after a wee break away. Not by choice, but just by other stuff he had on as well. Wolf, how are you?
That's fine, Martin. I've got a Tuesday night free for a change. I managed to engineer a Tuesday night. I wish it was under happier circumstances than what we're going to talk about, but here we go.
Just before we started, I said I was feeling a bit better until I came to do this tonight, and then we all started disagreeing. So this is going to be fun. Look, plenty to talk about tonight. Look, we've got the news about Alfredo. We might even touch a wee tiny bit on VAR. It's just honestly Scottish football. Of course, we'll have the Braga preview as well. Only one place to start. Gio, Ross Wilson, Old Firm. Oh, absolute nightmare. Just before we get on to that, we're live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Use no script, everybody who tunes in normally. YouTube, give us a like, subscribe as well. Get in the live comments, Facebook, like and share. Twitter, give us a wee retweet, help build the Twitter page. Give us a like and a comment there as well. So hello to everybody in the comments. Please do get your comments in. We've got plenty to talk about tonight. But I have noticed over the last kind of 3 or 4 weeks, I've not been the best at getting the comments up. So I'm going to try my best. Leave these three guys to talk nonsense, and I'll try and focus a little bit more on the comments. And so, but in saying that, channel member Ewan, a big hello, lads. How goes it? Shite, Ewan. I'm not going to lie to you. It goes shite. But there we go. And of course, CGM, with a wee good evening, always cheers me up a little bit. But I'm going to need more on that tonight. So everybody get your comments in and we will try and get them up. Have a wee bit of a discussion. Hopefully agree and disagree, because that's what makes a good podcast, when everybody agrees and then disagrees. And then I can put heated debate on the title and draw more people in. So get that done. Kerr, Brian, I've spoke to you recently, so I think I'll go to Wolf. Wolf, mate. Old Firm defeat again, 2 in a row. Bit of a whimper. League over. Gio, Ross Wilson under all sorts of pressure. How are you feeling?
I'm still lower than a rattlesnake with my top hat on, Martin. I'll try and keep this brief, and I'll try and keep it not sweary, and I'm going to find it difficult to do both, but I feel a bit sorry.
I'm trying to go and get my shopping just now, will
I? Strap yourselves in, boys. This could take a minute or two. I actually feel a bit for the criticism Gio's been getting, because ultimately it stops with him because he's a manager and he's the man putting the players on the park. I mean, it mystifies me why he only makes 2 substitutions. We've been rattling on since they went back to 3 that we need it to be 5, and it's going to benefit us because we've got a bigger squad. And then he goes to St Johnstone, doesn't use any, and then we're playing them. We're really, really struggling. Aribo's out on his feet, does 90 minutes. He's still got 3 subs up his sleeve. So that's what I'd blame the manager for. I mean, you've got to say, does he not trust the other guys on the bench? Does he not trust the likes of Davis, Scott Wright? If he doesn't trust them, put some of the kids on the bench. Because he's obviously not going to be using them anyway. Give them that experience. I mean, on Sunday, first couple of minutes we were brilliant. Just scored the goal. Everybody was happy. It was great. We're like, fantastic. That's what we signed Aaron Ramsey for, to do things like that, playing games like that, score goals like that. Tremendous. Feel sorry for Doc Cotton's family, because obviously the curse of Aaron Ramsey struck again. But I mean, I wonder who's going to pass out, which famous person is going to go on Friday morning when he scores a winner on Thursday. But we can but hope. But they equalised and we just shot the bed. We said it before we came on here. Their first attack, and then they scored, and I don't know. It was just shocking after that. Absolutely, and it's been dreadful for weeks. I think I said way at the start of the ramble when we started all this that, yeah, great, we're going to win the title last season, and it was always, even by the time we started, it was looking good for winning the title. But I said all along that the mark of champions is a team that can retain a title, and good players will retain a title. Then we were in a position, we were 6-7 points clear, absolutely flying. and then the buffers come off. I mean, the points we've lost is ridiculous. I mean, we've lost 13 points from winning positions this season. 9 of them at Ibrox. You know, draws with Motherwell 2-0 up. Through that game away on Sunday. Lost points in the last minute. Hearts at Ibrox. Lost points in the last minute up in Dingle. It's just not good enough. You can't win titles like that. And it's not all down to Van Bronckhorst, and it's not all down to Ross Wilson either, because this group of players, with the exception of last season, which is obviously an outlier, their asses have collapsed after Christmas 3 out of the last 4 seasons.
Yeah,
you know, and it's not. I mean, the team's outlived its usefulness, right? A lot of these players, they should have sold them in the summer. Now there is a school of thought that Steven Gerrard said don't want to sell any. And they said, well, we can't bring anybody in because we don't have the money to bring them in. That's what Ross Wilson's paid for. You know, I mean, since he came in, we haven't signed a player that's a regular starter in the team. With the exception, even Hadji before he got injured wasn't a regular starter in the team.
No,
he was out, you know. And I mean, the players that he's brought in, but you have to, as Kerr was musing before we started, is that the fact that he's identified players and the board have said, very good, but we can't afford them. We can't afford to sign them. It's all stuff that we just need to surmise. We don't know that. And if it's the case that he's not identifying players, then he needs to look at his position, because there's going to be a massive overhaul in the summer. Now, people are asking the question: is Van Bronckhorst the man to oversee that overhaul of the squad? You've got to ask the question: is Ross Wilson the man to oversee it? Will the board allow them to oversee it? Because we're not going to get anything like the money for the players that are going to go, and a lot of them are going to go. You know, I expect a reboot will go. We've probably seen the last of Morelos now that he's out for the season. You know, I mean, why anybody's surprised with that news from Rangers today mystifies me. Because the press conference last Friday, the manager said he's out for a few weeks. Now, a few weeks at this time of the season means it's a season ender. So I honestly don't think we'll see him again in a Rangers shirt. But it pains me to say that, because I'd love Morelos to finish his career here, but he's not going to. And he's going to have to, if he's going, he needs to go soon, because he's mid-20s now. And if he wants to make the move that he wants, he's going to have to do it soon. The fact he's injured might mean we've still got until Christmas, but I can't really see it. So there's going to be loads of players leaving. You have to ask a question. Are they going to be allowed to be replaced? We're not going to get top money for them now. So that leaves us in the position of the board are going to have to find money to sign the quality of player that we need. Because I mean, we've just basically wrapped, the way we've collapsed in the last 3 or 4 months, we've basically just fucking wrapped £40 million in a bow and handed it across to the East End of Glasgow, right? But not only have we done that in prize money, we've also done that in sponsorship, because they can now go to their sponsors and say, look, you're getting Champions League exposure. That clause in the contract kicks in. We can't do that. We might be able to do it come September if we get through the qualifiers. But by that time the transfer window shuts, you don't know the budget you've got.
I know. Yeah.
No, I fully believe that they gambled. They spent about 20-25 million to bring in all the guys that they brought in, the Japanese guys and whoever else it is, the Carter Vickers and all these kind of guys that they brought in. So they've spent most of the projected Champions League money already. But it's worked for them because they're getting results. They're probably going to win the league. I mean, never say never till it's over. I'll never, ever, ever say that we're not going to win the league while it's still mathematically possible. But, I mean, it would make Helicopter Sunday look like a convincing, easy title win if we managed to pull this one off. Because I honestly can't see us winning 6 league games. I can't see them losing points in 3 unless they start coasting it and think, well, that's it, done, we're on the beach now. You know, so, I mean, we've handed them the Champions League money. We've also handed them the additional sponsorship money that they'll get that we can't get. I mean, we've got all these sponsors that James Bisgrove's brought in, right? And all these different partners. Do we need them all? I mean, what do they all bring to the party? You've got to wonder, what do they all bring to the party?
Money.
The club's a shambles at the moment. The mistakes they're making, a lot of them aren't really particularly big mistakes. They're little things that niggle people. But because the team aren't performing, we're going to notice the things that niggle people, right? I mean, the one that's really getting on my tits today is the whole CTM trip to Braga on Thursday. That they only sent the itinerary out for at 3 o'clock this afternoon to tell you you're leaving at 10:30 on Thursday and getting picked up again at 7 o'clock on Friday morning. After changing a day trip into an overnight trip because a travel company didn't realise that you couldn't fly out of Porto Airport after 10 o'clock. Surely that's basic stuff. Now, that's not on Rangers. It's on their travel partners, but they pick those travel partners.
Mm-hmm.
Why not pick a travel partner that's not a business partner, that's a company that uses, that's used to ferrying football fans about? Sports Options get it right every time, because what they do flights for football teams, football supporters. CTM don't. I don't know if they've ever done football before they got to Rangers. Thomas Cook weren't they that good at it before when we had them. And it's things like that. If the team are flying, this time last year, the club would have got away with making mistakes like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're so happy and nobody really cares. It's annoying, but it doesn't really bother you that much. They're making so many elements. I mean the statements. The statement when they said they were pulling out of the Australia friendly, right? The thing that should never been in the first place. And that's not something I blame Bisgrove for. It's Bisgrove's job to bring in money. Somebody's obviously said there's £3 million for you if you go and you want to come and play this. Now, I don't know if James Bisgrove's a football man or not. But even if he is, he's probably looked at Liverpool playing Man United in Kuala Lumpur and, West Ham playing Arsenal in Texas or whatever it is they do, and said, look, these all do it, but it's a different animal up here. So the board should have went to him, look, Magic James, that's fantastic, but we don't do things like that. Find the money somewhere else. So that one's on the board. A lot of this stuff's on the board. And we're speculating. I hate criticising Rangers. Absolutely. I've been dreading this tonight because I absolutely hate criticising my football club.
Mm-hmm.
Hate it. But you can only surmise that all the mistakes have got to come from somewhere. And the leadership of the club just now is an absolute shambles. They're making so many basic mistakes that every single one of us would get. The communication is pathetic. I mean, even that statement today about Alfie being out for the rest of the season. What a ridiculous statement that was to make. It's just, it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And I'll give somebody else a chance to speak.
Right, well, there's about 6 podcasts worth for me to dig about in there and try and get information out of it. Look, if I can take one of Will's points, Brian, right? We'll come on to Ross Wilson, we'll come on to Gio, and we'll come on to your cat. I've got about 8 different topics I wanted to cover tonight, but we just purely won't have the time, right? Yeah. How often do we see the manager's not done this? The board haven't done that. This hasn't happened. That hasn't happened. See if we can just focus, Brian, on the players for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And Wilf made the point, and I think quite a few people have made the point. Look, 3 out of the last 4 seasons, the majority of these players have bottled it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that's on Gerrard and Allen, and then, of course, Wilson for not changing it, not getting some fresh faces in, we'll come on to that. But the actual players have got at the football club now. I'm talking Alan McGregor, I'm talking Tavernier, Goldson, Balogun. Who else have we got? I mean, I'd even put Ryan Jack in there, even though he spends most of the time injured. Alfredo Morelos, we'll come on to him. Arfield. The majority of these players have bottled it for the last 3 or 4 seasons, apart from the 1 year when they collapsed and we went on and won the title easy. How much shit, basically, do these players have to take? How much responsibility do they need to go, no, hold on a minute, this is on us?
I think there's well, as you say, 3 out of the last 4 they've absolutely bottled it. And I think, unfortunately, they need to take some responsibility, but they never do. They never seem to, any game, they just, like for Sunday example, 6 minutes in, your high as a kite. I thought my heart was going to come out my chest. It was bouncing that hard. And then from the 7th minute onwards, as soon as they scored, you just knew that was it. And that's the most horrible thing about it. But as you say, for them to just seemingly chuck it and give up and not try, it's horrible. It's horrible to see it because you there's 50,000 of us there on Sunday wanting to do what they're doing, and they're doing it right in front of our eyes and just, as you say, shitting it. But it's heartbreaking, and it really is. It's not good enough. But as you say, it's a mentality thing. These players have been there for a long time, and as Will says, there's probably an argument for not breaking up the squad that we've got, but certainly moving on 1 or 2. But was he allowed to get anybody back in? That's probably another argument. He probably wasn't. So I would say the players have got to take a big chunk of this, but they'll never own up to it.
No, but sorry, Mark, can I just jump in there? They 100% have to, right? Because that on Sunday, Celtic didn't have to work hard to score their goals. The goals were a joke. The goals were laughable. I can't remember the last time any team scored a decent goal against us. It was probably the boy from St Mirren at Love Street for St Mirren earlier in the season.
Aye.
The boy that scored a screamer from about 40 yards. It's probably the last time any opposition player actually scored a good goal against us. Because the goals we were getting there, I mean, there was 3 or 4 chances to clear both those ones that they scored on Sunday.
It's all self-inflicted stuff, Will. That's the thing.
It's the same every week. Every time we lose a goal, it's a stupid goal to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the players have got to take responsibility for that. They have to.
Look, do you know what? I'm going to bring Kerr in here because Kerr's been sitting patiently. Don't know where you fall asleep there, Kerr. You look. But look, yes, the players have to take absolute responsibility, Kerr. Of course they do. They're the ones out in the park. There was a comment in. Let me just get it up for you. And I can't think. The comments are just screaming in, but it was along this point here, right? How many of the players want to play for Rangers right now? Very few. In fact, I think Ramsey's desperate to play, but it's his body that's the problem. Now, I don't think that's fair, Kerry. I don't think that there is many players that are going out onto the park and going, I don't want to play here. I just don't think they're mentally tough enough.
I agree with you, Martin. I don't think they don't want to play. You can see the care to a point. You see they put an effort, but it's a mentality. It's like they're scared. They get to a point, we play well. I mean, we're on the front foot, we play well. You see it in Europe, they've got a belief because some of the players have come out and said that they don't feel under pressure in Europe, so they can go out and express themselves without the fear of making mistakes. But in the league, they've got that fear of making mistakes, so you can see the way we play. Every player needs a touch of the ball before we go forward. We're very predictable the way we play. We play Roof. I thought I'm not going to sit here and praise Roof, but I'm not going to criticise him either because I thought on Sunday he didn't really get any support at all. Once they got it, he pulled away and Ramsey came through and we scored because we played the ball between the lines. But after that, Abraham was out wide and into the box, and Roof's not a type of player that's going to win the balls for Carter Vickers or even Starfield. Doesn't matter how good or bad they are, he's not that type of player to win that because he doesn't play that way. But I think the players are, you've seen it when we went 2-1 down. Abraham is predictable, side to side, back, side to side, down the lines, get the ball in, or lumping the long ball forward. Golson was looking up at times, Tav was looking up at times, Bassey was looking up and had the ball at their feet, and nobody was in front was making runs. Aribo was not even walking at times, he was just standing still. But your players can only take so much of the blame, no matter how much they get criticised, because it falls with the manager. Doesn't matter who the manager is, the blame falls with him.
Of course,
he's paid money to motivate them, to get him and give him a plan to play. And my problem with Gio is, I don't know. I think he will be there next season, but I don't know personally if I think he should be. I don't know if he's got that mentality either to build this team. I don't know if he's got the funds, to be honest with you. But he seems to be, like Wolf said before we come on, we've got a big squad of players, but Gio seems content maybe using 13, 14, 15 at a push and leaving everybody else on the bench. You've seen it against St Johnstone. That week, Alfie played against Dundee, wasn't fit? Then they send them away with Columbia, which was a mistake in itself.
Well, come on
but
to that.
Why when you've got boys in the academy or Stephen Davis sitting there, he goes away with Northern Ireland, doesn't get a game for us. Kamara's been in and out of the team. I mean, Kamara's been playing okay recently, but he's actually scored a few goals, which some midfielders haven't. And then he gets dropped. Aribo's been empty shot since he's come back from Africa, the AFCON. But there's been others as well. McGregor, you can see Steven Gerrard was kind of phasing him out, but giving him chances and McLaughlin chances, so he was kind of resting and bringing in John McLaughlin. Gio's came in and not bad not really how time he's playing. McGregor, he's still getting a game, whereas something like Borna Barisic plays a couple of bad games and he's moved out of the team, which is fair enough because he's
the right thing to do, Keir. Yeah, but
done really
what
well.
about McGregor?
But McGregor sticking in the team and he's not bringing in McLaughlin. Now, we all know probably McLaughlin maybe not be able to pull off some of the saves that Allen does, but Allen's performances have been poor. He's cost us quite a lot of points. And maybe if John McLaughlin was in goals, he wouldn't have cost us 8 points.
No, but Keir, has McGregor in the league had to make any of those saves that McLaughlin couldn't make? Or if McLaughlin was in goals, would we have dropped the same amount of points we have?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm Al McGregor's biggest fan. I'm going to say He's a legend at Rangers, but I think he's played a season too long. I think he knows that himself. He can see the way he plays. Last season, he was shouting at everybody. I mean, some games he was going berserk. This season, he's not, because he knows himself he's making mistakes. So he doesn't want to blame anybody else, because they can turn around and say, listen, you're making mistakes. It's like the goals we're conceding. Everybody's dropping the ball just between him and the 6-yard box, because he knows he's not going to come out and punch it. McLaughlin will come out and punch it or try and catch it. McGregor doesn't come off his line. So it's putting the centre-backs and the full-backs and even the midfielders under pressure, because all the attackers and defenders for the team have got to run and jump on them. But that's these things Martin, the manager, has to see. That's what I'm saying about Gio. He has to see this. We just can't keep blaming the players. We have to look at him and his coaching staff as well.
And we will. I just wanted to make the point that, you know, the players need to take some responsibility in a lot of this as well. And it only ever seems to be one or two players that seem to cop the stick. It normally seems to be Aribo and Tav. And I know after the Old Firm game that was slightly different, but I just wanted to get that in there about, you know, we're going to discuss Gio, we're going to discuss Ross Wilson, and they're going to get a hammering, but the players need to take a long, hard look at themselves as well. And on that point, Wolf, Nicholas Moore has put in, the rot started in the team before Gio arrived. Is that fair?
Of course it is. Absolutely is. I mean, as I said, I think we've all said it at various points since the season started, right? Last season, our squad, and it's basically the same squad now because we've hardly brought anybody in, right, of any note, right? Last season, our players climbed Everest. They got to where they wanted to get to, right? I think a lot of them seem to think, well, that's enough. We've done it. We've done it now. That's fine. That's not fine. Winning one trophy with Rangers, albeit an important title as it was, right? That's not enough. But for a lot of them, it's the first thing they've won. And we've won a title. That's great, fantastic. It's not good enough.
No,
it's the mentality thing. It's as if, well, I mean, they were absolutely coasting it.
Well, Ralph, really sorry to interrupt you. Do you think the reaction of the supporters, which was obviously valid, look, we'd won our first title after coming back up the leagues, we'd been through a shit amount of years. Do you think maybe the reaction of the support with the players just built that title win up to far more than what it actually was in the players' eyes, and therefore the players have thought, yeah, we have reached Everest?
Yes, and I was guilty of it as anybody else. And I mean, it's not just from the players' point of view that's the case. I mean, everything else, you know, I mean, I started off this by criticising basically everybody at the club, from the chairman all the way down, for some of the decisions they make, right? I mean, you look at the kit supplier, Castor. I'm sitting here in a Castor top just now. I've got a house full of this stuff, right? And I think it's good quality, right? I've never had an issue with it. Some people have got issues with Castor. The stuff's too dear, but that's another point, right?
We don't have to buy it.
No, you don't have to buy it, right? But like Bisgrove won't be thinking they've done anything wrong, because we've fallen over ourselves to buy all this stuff. You know, they've released 55 this and 55 that, and they've got there's books, and there's dream scenes, and there's this, and there's Edmonton House shares, and there's share issues. There's all sorts of stuff, and the Rangers support have been absolutely brilliant. We've been falling over ourselves to buy it. We've all put our hand in our pocket, spent an absolute fortune, and everything the club's put out has flown off the shelf. So they'll probably be sitting back going, well, the fucking supporters lapping this up. So we can't be getting an awful lot wrong, because I don't know how much the executives at the club pay attention to social media. I mean, they probably do.
Oh, right? Yeah, Rangers are all over it.
Yeah, but whether the actual, I mean, I know they'll have people that are all over it, but whether the guys in the boardroom and, you know, the actual executives themselves are all over it, I don't know.
I can 100% guarantee you the guys in the board.
It's quite, you know, they're probably also sitting, well, it's quite easy to make a noise behind a keyboard. Because we've all seen there's keyboard warriors all over the place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've had it the last one.
You know, while people are sitting, you know, they'll really open up their Twitter and they'll be getting criticised by this one, criticised by that one. They'll go to the shop and say, what have we got left stock-wise? Nothing, everything's been sold out. Everything's flying off the shelves. What have we got left in the share issue? Oh, it's all flown out the door. Edmonton House, the packages have all gone. The my G's are 40,000. Well, we're bringing in the money. The fans can't be that upset. And
the fact, Wolf, that not nobody, but you know, the club 1872 I think went nowhere, which was another big coup for the board.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the support have backed this board to the hilt and back, right? To the absolute hilt and back. Every single one of us have. Every single person watching this will have. You know, and I just
have the board not backed Rangers at all though? Can we give the board any sort of credit? Because I don't just want to come here and absolutely hammer the board. I mean, they have put money into the club, but just have they put enough?
Oh, absolutely. Without the board, not even just the board, with all the investors, you know, without them, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't have won the league last year, right? And they've obviously got to get their money, but we need a bit more transparency from them. You know, they said they would be transparent, right? We need to know when we're putting share issues and we're buying this and we're buying that. When they're issuing shares, are they taking their money back out, which they're justly entitled to do, right? Or is there a pot of money sitting there? I mean, the money that we got for Nathan Patterson, you know, £12 million or whatever it is we got from Everton, Nathan Patterson, did that go back into
that went on
to cover the investments, or is it available as a transfer kitty come the summer? Same with the compensation we got for Steven Gerrard, right? We need to know things like this, and I'm not saying they need to come out and tell us verbatim what's there, because that's daft. But we need to know. I mean, the communication from the club just now is an absolute riot. It's just an absolute joke. And before we carry on the subject of Nathan Patterson, I'd like to wish him a speedy recovery. Apparently, he's going for an operation in the next few days.
Oh, well, aye, absolutely. I hope he
I heard that tonight. So hopefully Nathan comes out of that and actually starts playing for Everton come the new season. Might be in the championship, but I hope he still starts playing for them. So
I just want to switch tact for 2 minutes, Brian, and talk about the fans. This might not go well. Robbie 55. I'm going to be honest, our fan base has a bit to play this season. We are quick to go against them for no reason half the time, and chants don't help either way. We pretty much sing about 4 players. Do the Rangers fans need to take any responsibility at all with the booing and the atmosphere maybe not being the best when things don't seem to be going our way, or is that just somebody looking for an excuse? And if that is the case, if it is the case of the fans, they might boo or the atmosphere might drop dead, is that then just another, is that more evidence that the players don't have it mentally?
Well, there's lots of other teams that we've had in the past that we've booed at times and they've turned it around and won a game, or have turned form around. They've taken the criticism on the chin. It just seems plain to me that these players just don't seem to take or like any form of criticism or any, bad stick that they get. If they play a bad game, everybody can play a bad game. Everybody knows that. But they just seem to go into a shell. I mean, look at Borna Barisic. Last season, one of our best players. And then this season, he is just literally half the man he was. He's got no confidence, can't go forward. He's just abysmal. So, but the fans are frustrated. We won the league by an absolute camper, and then it's difficult. It's difficult to blame the fans because all we've done is support them for goodness knows how long. So I wouldn't say the sport have got anything to sort of feel sorry for. We're just frustrated.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tommy Boy makes that point, Kerr. Rangers fans have always been fickle. I don't think that anybody can argue with that point. The players need to be stronger. Simple.
Football fans, all teams are fickle, Martin. It's just obviously the bigger the club you support, there's more fans there, so there's more going to be that way. We all love when we win, we're all happy, we're all joyful, we're all praising. When we get beat, it doesn't go our way. We do criticise. I would say some of the songs maybe we sing, we shouldn't sing. And chucking stuff on the park to me shouldn't happen at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a disgrace, because reading today about maybe points deduction and stuff, who knows if it will happen, but if it does happen, we're probably going to be the club that gets it done first, just because the way the Scottish football is. But we don't help ourselves. We know there's certain things we shouldn't be shouting at football matches. Listen, if you want to sing these songs in the house or shout them in the house, go ahead. We've all done it in the past. But nowadays, times move on. We have to move on. So we shouldn't be singing some songs. I agree with that. Also, don't go to whoever goes to a football match with a bottle in their pocket and then chuck onto the field. It's pointless, because it's not just. I don't mean that. It's pointless because you're causing the club an embarrassment. You're causing the fans an embarrassment. You're getting us in the news and even Hollywood was talking about us. You're getting and even Sky Sports News and stuff on the radio talking about it instead of just talking about Rangers as a team. And then when you do come on, when it does go on the grass, it's not just going to the opposition players. When it can injure any of the football players in that park, which shouldn't be happening. It's because you're there to watch a game. You pay money to watch a game. Don't want people chucking things in the park. I used to coach my son's team. I didn't want people chucking things when he was playing football in the park in case they go on it. So don't do the things. If you think you're going to go to football and chuck things or try to go in the park or whatever, don't go. Stay in the house. Safer that way. You can chuck things at your own telly, whatever. But don't do it to the park because you're not just embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing the Rangers as a whole, as a football club and the whole support because we're not all like that. Some of us go to the game, enjoy the game and then come up the road. We don't want to be involved in all the other stuff, Matt.
Well, look, and I don't know if you've watched the last couple, right? But as everybody now knows, right, this is my mom, right? We are fans, we love our club, but we need to vent. And this is what it is. If the team was performing, we wouldn't have the negativity. It's not our fault. Listen, I completely agree with that. But I also agree with what Kirsten. Let's see the protests at Dundee. I didn't like it. That's not the kind of thing that I'm into, right? But it didn't really bother me. I just thought to myself, don't do it now. We need to win the game. Protest some other way. But throwing a fucking glass bottle on the park, Wolf, especially a smashed one. I mean, I'm all for being pissed off and angry. And and anybody who knows me personally will tell anybody that I am a grumpy bastard, right? I am. I'm the first one to admit that. But throwing a glass bottle onto the pitch where one of our players could slide on there and rip their legs open, it's just ridiculous.
It's completely out of order. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming that I hear somebody told me that the bottle got thrown on and it broke when it hit the crossbar on its way.
It hit the crossbar, right?
Right.
Because you can't throw a bit of glass on, right? Now,
No.
Whoever threw it, it's a hell of a shot to get it from the front of the Copeland or into the goal booth, but that doesn't make it right. It's an absolute disgrace, right? And the problem is there's so much of it going on just now. I mean, I've been told personally from good friends of mine that there was bottles thrown in the direction of the pitch from the Govan East corner. There was obviously something in one of the enclosures, because if that Celtic coach was in fact struck by a bottle, which to all accounts he was, there was one that landed in the goal booth that came off the bar that broke. There was a guy sitting in front of me in the club deck with a half bottle of Buckfast in his pocket. There's people coming in all over the place with bottles, right? Now, not so many years ago, my then kind of early to mid-teens daughter couldn't get in with a bottle of water in her bag.
Yeah.
Because she was I can't remember the last time somebody stopped me getting into Ibrox and saying, get any bottles on me, any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That seems to have fallen by the wayside. Now, whether that's the custodians of the club penny pinching or treating us like adults like we should be treated, and obviously a lot of support can't be treated, it's going to come to the stage where it's going to take a lot longer to get into the ground because everybody's going to be getting searched because you get idiots like this throwing bottles about. I mean, what possesses anybody in any state of drunkenness or under the influence of whatever they're under the influence of to throw a bottle on a football pitch? Because as you say, Martin, it could have been one of our players, right? I mean,
Could actually hit somebody in the crowd, Wolf, if didn't throw well enough.
You could hit somebody in the crowd. You could make an arse of throwing it and hit one of the ball boys or one of the stewards. And people must be seeing who these folk are. And I'm not advocating self-policing because you can't go up to somebody that's obviously out their tits.
No, I don't agree with
listen, you don't do that because you'll get a smack in the mouth, right? But if you remember back, not that many years ago, there was always on the PA and in the programme, if you see any behaviour that's out of order, text this number and we'll sort it out. Tell us the seat number and we'll sort it out. We've had none of that since we came back from COVID. There's no. You don't want to go up to a steward and say the guy sitting in front of me, he did this, he did that, finger him out. But there's got to be a mechanism where whoever threw that bottle, I can't believe if they haven't been arrested, they've not been arrested yet because the CCTV we've got is really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember 10, 15 years ago, somebody threw a juice bottle on the park. I think was it still Ian Petrov that went down like he'd been shot, getting hit by a cardboard juice container. And the person that did that get arrested the next time he walked into Ibrox.
Yeah.
But
see, well, the thing for me is, see if I'm in Ibrox and somebody's sitting next to me with a bottle of Bucky or a bottle of Mad Dog, which is my personal favourite. I'm not a big fan of Bucky, right? But if somebody's sitting with a bottle of Mad Dog, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Fill your boots, do what you want. But see if they can't be trusted not to then throw that ball onto the park. They're fucking it for everybody.
100%. I mean, let's see where I am in the club deck. The last four or five games, there's been somebody, different people with bottles or something. There was a guy in front of me at the last European home game, the Red Star home game, and he was up and he was singing, waving his bottle about.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe somebody didn't see that. And that's, but then you'll get a kid coming in with an Iron Brew bottle and they'll take that off him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's just, it's as if the stewards are too scared to go up to somebody and say, look, I need to take that off you. Because they're obviously full of the drink, right? And it's, I mean, where I sit, I know there's nobody's going to be daft enough to throw a bottle out the club deck, right? Because you ain't getting it on the pitch and you're going to hit somebody below you, right? Nobody's that stupid, right? But there's loads of fans a lot closer to the pitch. And obviously somebody thought it was a good idea. You've got to root this out, and it's the same with the singing and all these other fucking protests. Sorry for the language. All these other protests that we've had, right? I get the reason for them, right? That Sydney Cup was very divisive, and it got a lot of people going. That whole thing that happened at Dens Park, I didn't agree with the way they did the demonstration. But the one at the start of the game, that's fine. That's it done. The game's not really started. Get right now. Obviously, the one at the start of the second half, they'd already said at the start of the second half, we're going to do this. But they should have put a caveat on it saying, as long as we're not losing. Because that broke up the momentum of the game. Exactly the same on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, we've come out, the stadium's absolutely jumping, the team's come back out, right, let's get back into this. And the start's delayed 3 or 4 minutes while they clean up the glass. And by that time, everybody's calmed down, wondering what's going on. And the whole any momentum that was there is gone. Because
do you know what I will say while it's in my head while I remember it? I'm not a political person at all, right? I don't like politics.
Kerr is.
Right? But for certain, Kerr doesn't. I'm probably going to go and help him. For certain politicians and certain first ministers, right? I get that was a shit show, right? But there's been instances all throughout the season. There's been football players, albeit plastic bottles, glass bottles, whatever, have been hit with bottles, and there's been not a word said. But for certain politicians to now come out and try and have a go at Rangers and put spotlight on Rangers, that really does my tits in. But let's move on, because that's...
Just have to say, Martin, one thing. When Alistair Hood was in charge, I know he's passed now, right enough. He's passed away, Alistair, but when he was in charge of Rangers security back in the 90s, he didn't get away with much because you were up in front of him for any reason, because there used to be a big fence in the enclosure, and if he even ran and jumped in that, he'd spies you, and the next minute you were getting a letter through with your name and address, and so you'd like to go and meet him. So things do have changed, but like somebody mentioned in the comments, I remember people peeing into cups and peeing into cans and stuff like that. You used to go to old grounds, but you didn't see much of it getting chucked onto the park back then either. Mm-hmm. So things do change.
But you know what we have to say? It's an isolated incident. It's one person. It should not reflect the whole support, which in certain sections of the media and for certain politicians, it does represent the whole support. But Martin, that's what pisses me off.
But that's the whole thing, right? The Rangers support and every one of us accepts the media don't like us. We're an easy shot for the media, and we're making it so easy for them.
So easy,
I mean,
so easy.
These people that are throwing on the bottles and doing this and doing that, they're probably the first to say, "How dare they say that about my club? We're not like that." They're giving them the ammunition. They're basically loading the gun for them. You know, and it's no.
But at the same time, there's another club in Glasgow who have got a gun that's fully loaded.
It is fully loaded, all right. And it's probably smoking. It's a smoking gun. But the press stay away from it because they've been told to stay away from it.
Yeah.
Because that certain other club have got the politicians in their pocket.
And that's the one thing that pisses me off. But listen, let's please move on because we're 40 minutes in. All right, 35 of that was Wolf's opening statement. But we must. You
invited me on.
That's true. Brian, just quickly on Gio then. Look, we spoke about the players, the mentality of the players, etc. But on Gio himself, and I don't want to look too far into the future. I don't know how much the European results now will matter, but he's under huge pressure, massive pressure. And I think, does it all kind of rely on this Scottish Cup semi-final for his job? Or
well, I mean, it's been suggested that the European run is sort of papered over the cracks of the season so far, and the semi-final now is Well, it's shit or bust. As we were saying earlier, does Wilson and Gio get the summer to try and sort this out? Do you trust them to do that? Do you trust them to have the rebuild? Do you trust them to sign new players?
I don't know how fair that point is on Gio. I get the point about Wilson, and sorry, Brian, to cut you off, but I'll take this to care quickly. I've got 2 points in my head. I've got so much in my head tonight that I can't remember what I was going to say. Do we trust Gio with a rebuild? We've not really seen any Gio signings yet, so I don't think it's fair to say, can we trust Gio? We can look at Gio tactically, and maybe tactically what Gio wants to do with the players that he's got, he can't do because the players can't fit his system. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Gio can't have 3 or 4 or 5 players in his sights that would come in and make that Rangers team better.
But if he loses, say Gio loses 4 Old Firm games,
which is the question.
And I mean, when was the last Ranger? Probably exactly McLeish, how far I can remember. He lost a few Old Firm games, didn't he? But he'd won a few trophies before that, I think. Mm-hmm. But if he loses 4 Old Firm games this season, does he survive that? Because in my books, he shouldn't. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Everybody else could be different, but to me, he shouldn't survive that. No way. The way the season went. And if you remember, Martin, I said to you last season, a lot of people thought Rangers were better than they actually were, and you laughed at me because you said in the first pod we won the league by quite a mile, and I said we wouldn't.
Yeah, that pod's been deleted, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. Maybe Wolf could answer that. Is there maybe a clause in Gio's contract that if he doesn't make it next season, we don't have to pay him the $3 million, the 3-year money? I don't know these things.
Well, if you sack him, you need to pay him his contract.
But look, some clauses, some managers have clauses. They've got a certain maybe 6-month period. If he doesn't do enough, he can be let go by a year's money. I don't know. Maybe Wolf will know more because
don't know. No, I honestly don't know. But I mean, you would normally have to pay up their contracts, but it's not just them; it's their entire backroom staff. It's the backroom staff. A whole lot of them go. Yeah. You know, because you can't just sack one of them; the whole lot of them need to go.
But do you think he survives if he loses 4 games against Celtic?
No Rangers manager should lose 4.
Does he survive, Wolf, if he gets beat in the semi-final, but beats Celtic in the last Old Firm game of the season, or does he have to win the semi-final in the Scottish Cup?
You know, I think if he wins the semi-final, that'll take a lot of pressure off him. Even if he goes on to lose the final, which is a very Rangers thing to do. I think that he would survive that. I think if he loses the semi-final, he might just walk. He might just say, "Well, I'm not up to this. I'm just going to go." You know, depending on how Europe's going. I mean, there's no reason he can't take us to the Europa League final. And I know that sounds absolutely ludicrous, but with our European forms being, there's no reason that we can't get to the Europa League final.
If we get to the final, well, for the Europa League and Celtic win the treble, I'm sorry, I still don't think he keeps his job.
No, if he wins it, he does.
Football's about results at the end of the day.
Exactly. I mean, I would take winning the Europa League right now, right, and possibly not forgive them, but possibly be a lot less sore about throwing away the title, right? Because we've won 55 titles, we've won 1 European trophy. We'll have other hits at domestic titles. Yeah. We won't get many other chances. I mean, when's the last time we were anywhere near a European final? 2008. Mm-hmm. And even despite we've been out, the fact we're out of the league for 5 or 6 years, since 2008 we've won 4 league titles. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it would excuse it, but it would certainly go a long way to him keeping his job. But he has to win that semi-final. And right now I can't see any way we win that semi-final.
I honestly can't see it.
We've been saying for weeks that April is massive, right? Mm-hmm. April was only massive depending on the result of that first game.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's absolutely screwed the mud. I don't expect us to get past Braga because I don't think the players have got the mentality for it. I just don't think they've got the heart. I just don't think they've got the fight.
Hold on. Robert Robertson. Postecoglou has only managed pub teams, but he's embarrassed Gio twice. Postecoglou was the Australian manager. Can we get rid of this notion that he's only managed pub teams? He was the Australian manager. He spent 30 million, right? Rangers have spent about 4 million on 2 loans, right? Ange's came in and done a really good job with that Celtic team. They all know their job. They all know what they're doing, but they are not a great team. We have thrown this league away. They have not won it, right? So see this, he's embarrassed Gio twice. That's absolutely true, but it's Gio's tactics and the players and the fact that the board haven't helped him that's embarrassed Gio, not the ex-Australia manager, Postecoglou. So that's a nonsense comment. Sorry, carry on.
He hasn't just managed pub teams. I think other than international teams, he's probably just managed. He's managing a pub team just now because they're no better than a pub team. But he's got them playing well. I mean, he's come in from what I can understand. They're paying no attention to what they do other than when they're playing us. He signed players that he knew. All the guys from Japan that he signed, I don't know if they've all played for him, but he managed in Japan, I think. So he knew these players, knew what they could do, and they could do what he wanted them to do.
He spent a lot of money as well, Wolf.
He spent a lot of money. They've spent most of the money they'll get from the Champions League.
They brought in a lot of money, but
absolutely, 100% they brought in a lot of money. Yeah. But they brought in a lot of money and then spent a lot of money. So see,
but their board has backed them. Our board hasn't backed their managers.
Absolutely. But see, the players that they said weren't good enough anymore, right? So they've brought in money for 2 players. They brought in, 25 million from 2 players. They've still got 8 players that they said weren't good enough, so they're still paying their wages, but they've spent 28 million.
But the manager, like Rogic wasn't playing well last season, other players, but he's come in and he's done a 360. Rogic is the player he was a couple of seasons ago. That's a class, a good man manager. Gio, I know he's only been here a short time, but some of our players have went another way. Mm-hmm. And so do we give him another chance that could get work, or do we give him more a chance? Because the thing with Gio is, does he actually get his say in the transfers, or does it come from Ross Wilson? Because as long as I've known Ross Wilson, he's a man that says who we bring in and who we don't, because that's his basically job, isn't it? He's the director of football, so he's the man for the signings and man's for the selling. I know Gerrard was slightly different. He wanted a say in some players, which he got in Lundstrom, maybe 1 or 2 others. But what Celtic have done, they brought in a couple of strikers. Now, that's where we've let ourselves down. We let the 4 away, and we only had left for Roof. Atin was never going to be. Atin cost us £3 million. We're never going to get that back. Roof cost £5 million. Now we all know Roof can score goals, but not in the system we play. But when Morelos is injured, for all the money we've spent, all the players we've got, we seem to have no idea. So.
Can I just apologise to Robert? I was a wee bit harsh there. I didn't mean to shout at you, Robert.
The whole Defoe thing absolutely baffles me, right? Because Gio brought back Cedric Itten and he hasn't played him, right? So he brought him back to have a look at him. Obviously doesn't fancy him. So why you got to wonder why he brought him back? And with Defoe, we'll let Defoe go the day before they okayed 5 subs again. The reason we let him go was we couldn't offer him game time. With 5 subs, Defoe would be playing every other week.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could bring him on for Morelos or for Roof or
Well, just on that Defoe point, I think Rangers knew what Defoe hadn't already worked out, and then as soon as he went to Sunderland, he knew I can't do this anymore, and he retired pretty quickly.
Yeah, I get that as well, but your young strikers are going to learn a lot from having him about the place. I think the problem with Defoe was when he was here at the start of the season, before Gerrard left, he made Defoe a coach, and then Van Bronckhorst come in and says you're only going to be a player. Defoe, well, I'm just going to go away then because I won't get any game time. Right now, he would have got game time because it went to 5 subs the day after he left. Now they must have known that was going to happen. So even if we'd only got 6 weeks out of him, he would have made a difference. He might have been the difference between beating Motherwell and dropping points to Motherwell, or beating Aberdeen or dropping points to Aberdeen.
He could have.
And if he's come in and done that and we've won those games, getting beat with them on Sunday would have been so, but we'd still be top of the league. And this would be a completely different podcast. We'd all be in a completely different mood. And we'd be sitting here saying, we're going to go to Braga, we're going to smash Braga, we've all booked flights to Seville and everything in the gardens, Rosie, because that's what football fans are like. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and we're all sitting here wanting to murder people.
And
that's metaphorical before the daily record jump on it.
This all stems back to the summer, though, right? We laughed at them last year purely because they sat still and we caught them up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've done exactly the same as them. We've thought, well, we're good enough to beat them. We beat them by 25. We'll beat them again. We just have to keep ticking over. And we've done exactly the same. We've fell in the same trap.
Right, we've stood still, right? And because we've stood still, we effectively have gone backwards.
Correct.
Yeah, 100%.
Instead of putting your foot on the throttle and keeping going,
Yep.
unfortunately, we put the brakes on and we've stuck it in reverse now.
Yeah. And also, look, going forward, Kerr, for the last however many games are left in the league, but obviously more importantly, the Cup. And Europe, we're not going to have main man Alfredo Morelos. How massive a blow is that?
That's a big blow because he's the one we rely on, rightly or wrongly, we rely on him because when he plays, we're a better side. And it's just the way it is. But he's been here, 5 years, 4 years, 5 years? And for a club at Rangers not to have somebody else available when he gets injured or gets suspended is a joke because we shouldn't just be relying on one guy all the time. We have to have others who can come in. And Roof scored a lot of goals last season, to be fair, but he can't play through middle, so there's nobody else who can play through middle basically than Alfie, and there's nobody in the reserve. You look at it, and I mean, I know people are saying Tony Weston. You could bring in Tony, give him a chance in the league games, but I don't know if it would be detrimental to Tony because the way the team are playing.
Kerr, look, that's a great point, right? Because I've seen Tony Weston a couple of times. Natural finisher. See if you brought him into the first team and played a completely different style of football towards the end of the season, that boy could probably play in the first team, right? And he would probably score. But Gio doesn't change the way he plays. No. And he'll play Roof up top and he'll try and play the same way that he plays with Morelos, and it's not going to work.
No, I agree with you. He's not got a plan B, but he's going to have to change. He might change. That's what I don't. I think we'll have to wait and see. It depends between now and the end of the season. We're all sitting here, different opinions. Some want him to stay, some don't. It depends in the semi-final, I think. Europe is, I think we'll beat Braga and go through to the semi-final myself. But I don't think we'll beat Celtic in the semi-final.
Listen, and we'll preview the semi-final when that time comes. And that is a preview that I'm hoping somebody else is hosting.
Keep the Wolf.
Brian Morelos out for the end of the season. Let's hope it is just the end of the season. Let's hope he is back. But like Wolf says, like the correspondence for the club to tell us was, I mean, that size, it was tiny.
What was that, a paragraph?
It was a paragraph. And he's going to be a big, big miss.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's going to be an absolute massive miss. But again, going back, for us not to have a ready-made replacement because of Morelos getting injured is another fault. But as you say, he's going to be a massive miss. And unfortunately now we know the consequences of that, and we've got to move on now with the rest of the season without him. So let's suck it up, I'm afraid.
Suck it up, Wolf. But due to recruitment, we've got nobody to replace him.
Well, we've got to hope, right? The manager now knows that for the next 6 weeks we don't have Alfredo Morelos, right? Unfortunately, I don't think we'll see him in the Rangers jersey again because I think he will move on now. But for the next 6 weeks, we definitely don't have him. He's out injured, right? So the manager's got to look at changing his game plan to play with what he's got. You've got to piss with the cock you've got. You've got to use what he's got available to him, right? And he knows that. So that means he's got to change the system up front, whether it's Roof through the middle, whether he sticks Roof out wide and sticks Kent through the middle, or whether he sits Roof back on the bench and puts Akala through the middle, or whatever it is he wants to do. I mean, he's been playing Connor Goldson up front towards the end of games when things haven't been going well. Does he start with him as a striker? You know?
Well, Brian Miller's asking, do we bring in Itten, Wolf?
Well, where's Itten gone? I mean, Itten's, other than playing in a Glasgow Cup game about 3 weeks ago, I don't think Itten's even been on the bench. I don't think he's been anywhere. So you can't just bring him in because he's not going to be much fit. He's not going to. He obviously doesn't fancy him because he's brought him back to have a look at him, and he doesn't get a look at. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's on the bench on Thursday because we're light of bodies for Europe, and he's in the European squad.
Yeah.
You know, because we don't have enough homegrown players, you know, to fill the bench. So I think he'll be on the bench on Thursday. I don't know if we'll see him. It'll depend how the game's going. But then we're in the situation. What happens if Roof gets injured and Roof prone to an injury? Then we're going to have to go wetting because we don't have anybody else.
Unless he changes it all and plays two up front and plays a different way.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's going to have to look at playing a different way because Morelos can't play with two up front, but Roof can. Itten can. So whether Roof or Itten's your two up front, or do you Do you go Roof and Kent through the middle, Roof and Sakala through the middle? Do you
I'll go Sakala and Kent.
push somebody else up?
Just use pace.
You know, that's why the managers paid the money the managers paid.
I don't know, man. That's a hard one because Kent's finishing is beyond atrocious.
Well, he's fallen off a cliff this year. He scored three goals and got something like 4 assists.
Aye,
whereas last year he was scoring goals for fun.
Kent's movement and the ability to drag players all over the park's phenomenal, Wilf. But in terms of what he gives you numbers wise, you know, and I mentioned this, I don't even know if I mentioned it after the game because it's a bit blurry. But I mean, the boy Reagan, Charles Cook at Ross County offers more than Ryan Kent.
I'd be doing all we can to sign him because he looks like a great player. Whether or not he can handle the move to Rangers, there's only one way we're going to find that out. That's to bring him in. I mean, players like that we should be looking at because, I mean, the guy scored against us. We're supposed to have quite a good defence. You know what I mean? Except for the
his numbers are pathetic, J-Max, right? His numbers are
awful. This season, his numbers are awful. His form's fallen off a cliff because he'll drag players about. But when he tries to beat a man, I can't remember the last time Ryan Kent actually beat somebody. Other than just running past him, actually stood in front of the guy and went, right, I'm leaving you on your arse. I can't remember the last time he did that. Actually beat a guy on the wing. He tried it 3 or 4 times on Sunday, and the boy just took the ball off him every single time.
Last time I done it, Wolf was in Europe against Dortmund. I done it a few times, but in the league he's been. You know, on Sunday he get a through ball for Bassey, and he put the ball into Ramsey, and we scored, and it was a great ball by Bassey, and he just cut it in, and Ramsey made that later on into the box, which was the only time we actually played anywhere a decent football because we played between the lines. He done Kent ran off him and we get a ball into the box, but after that it was dead predictable and passing. Nobody was moving.
Because the decision making is horrific. Their decision making is horrendous. I mean, I would say almost every one of those players, the decision making is they don't run with their head up, and to me that's all about confidence. I've never played football at any level, but to me that's all about confidence. They don't run with their head up. They don't look for passes. They'll take the easy sideways pass rather than. I mean, the ball Bassey played through on Sunday was immense, and Kent ran onto it, and that's the way it should be. Second minute of the game, you think, brilliant, we're on this today.
Never tried it again after that, but
never tried it again. Nobody. I mean, there was 2 or 3 times we had a break. We had a break on them second half, and we got to 40 yards out and stopped. Yeah, because there's no movement.
That's because straight after we scored, we were on a break, and they get the ball and scored, and then we went, oh no, if we go forward, they're going to score. Yeah, but look, right,
scared to make mistakes, Martin.
Let's park all that chat now, right? And can I just say to the folk in the comments, I've seen so many people saying, oh, this is depressing tonight, oh, this is getting more depressing by the minute. What were you expecting? It to be all rainbows and laughing? There's been no... Rangers haven't gave us any reason to be all happy and laughing. So, of course, we're going to be critical. Of course, we're going to criticise players. I don't understand people that thought that we were going to all come on and be extremely happy tonight. On that note, please do like and subscribe on YouTube.
I came on here to get cheered up tonight, man.
And I bet you feel better. I bet you feel better.
I bet you don't.
On Facebook, give us a like and a follow and a what do you call it? I'm terrible with Facebook. And of course on Twitter, give us a retweet, a like, and put in the comments as well. The comments have been great. They've been so fast. I really appreciate it. It's been an hour, but can we do a wee Braga preview? Are you all right with that? He's got time, even though my chicken tikka's in the kitchen. But we'll do the Braga preview anyway. How are you feeling about Thursday, Brian?
Surprisingly, actually, not that bad because we seem to do better in Europe. Whether that's the fact that the players seem to think, oh, this is Europe, we're in the shop window, we better perform. I don't know. We've beaten Braga before, so obviously it's not the same team, but we seem to do really well in Europe. So it doesn't give me as much concern as the league. So I'm kind of I'm a little bit more upbeat than if it was a league game in the weekend. Put it that way.
Do you want some stats? Do you want me to stats? It's all in there. All the stats are in there, right?
You don't have to look to your right, no.
I don't have to look to my right at all, right? Look, Braga are 4th in the league. I don't know how similar they are to the Braga that we played, right? But Braga are 4th in the league. They're 9 points behind third place Benfica, who they beat 3-2 at the weekend. In their last 6 games, they've won 3, drew 2, lost 1. Their goal difference is it's like 4-46 against 28. So obviously they're scoring more goals than they concede, but it's no, they've not had a brilliant season. They get beat off a Red Star in the Europa League. However, they did beat Sheriff. I think that went to penalties. Sheriff are not a bad team, and of course they put out Monaco in the last round. Their top scorers Horta. Wait a minute, I'm not looking at my notes again. The top scorers Horta with 15 goals this season. So, and then it goes like 6-6-2. So I think they've kind of get this. They seem very similar to us. That's all I'll say, Keir. And pretty much the last time we played them, they were very similar to us. So I don't know really what I'm expecting. Will it make any difference, the fact that we're away first?
Talking to me, Martin.
Yes.
I'm actually quite confident because in Europe we've actually played okay, and the players say they don't seem to have a mentality block in Europe because they go in there kind of as underdogs and not get any pressure on them. So I think it'll be fine. I'm not going to say we're going to. I think we'll go through it, but we might not. But I think I'll be fine on Thursday. I think the players will be fine. They'll be relaxed. They'll be there to go. It's the league they've got the block because I think they had so much pressure on them after winning last season. Some of them did hit their halt last season. Some of them should have been sold, but it didn't happen. So some did regress and some regressed very badly. But I think in Europe they enjoy playing there because they've got more freedom in the park to do what they do. They're not scared to make mistakes and they're willing to make a riskier pass going forward, even if it doesn't go off. In the league, they don't do that. They don't take a risk in the league. Everything's very samey. It's like boring and teams figures out very quickly. But in Europe, we attack, we press, we can defend. And you've seen some of the game that's been 3-2, 4-3. We just go out and attack. And we've seen the Dortmund game. The Dortmund game is one of the best games I've been in this season. Even the Belgrade game, they get 3 goals chopped off. We score 3. European football has been good this season for Rangers. It's been enjoyed going to watch it. It's the league. It's been screwed up.
Yeah, I know. Brian Miller's saying Braga would have watched us on Sunday and be licking their lips. Well, do you know what? Let's hope that they watched us on Sunday and they are licking their lips and they think it's going to be easier than what it will be. I don't think they will. Their manager is obviously I can't mind the guy's name, but he's a decent manager. You know, they know what they're doing. How much less confident are you now that you know that Alfie's out?
Who's this to me again?
Wolf. I said Wolf. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear you saying me there. Obviously, I mean, Alfie thrives in Europe and he always plays well, but we rely on him too much. Alfie's out, we just need to get on with it. I mean, the news today came as no surprise to me. The way the manager framed it last week, I knew there's not a chance he was playing in Braga or even at the home leg against Braga. I'll be honest, Sunday I've not really thought about it other than trying to get my itinerary off of CTM, which I finally got today. But that's another story for another podcast on another day because I could go on for that for hours. I fully expect us to put them out. And I think we might get a result on Thursday. Which, in the cold light of day, I'll probably be very, very annoyed about because after that performance on Sunday, we then lift ourselves for a game again. But in the players' defence, Braga's going to come out at us. We cannot break down a team that sits deep. And Celtic sat deep against us on Sunday, the same way as I said earlier, as everybody else does when they come to Ibrox. You know, come with a point, go home with a point, anything else is a bonus. And I've just knocked my light over. There we go. That's what I get.
Try to be professional.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, I mean, Braga's going to be well aware of what happened at Ibrox the last time, right? So they're going to want to take a result away with them. So I think they're going to come at us. We tend to play better in Europe because teams come at us, and there's no excuse for not knowing what Braga's going to do because, as you rightly say, Braga were beat by Red Star in the groups. You know, when we were doing our scouting work and all that on Red Star, I would imagine that they looked at the Braga games. So they'll have seen Braga already, you know, when they watch the videos back of the Red Star game. So they'll know what they're about in Europe. So we've got absolutely no excuses for not knowing what's coming our way on Thursday. And Braga's not a big place. They've not got a big support. They've got an absolutely phenomenal stadium. It's really iconic. It's a cracking place. There'll be 7,500 screaming Rangers fans there. You know, hopefully that'll put the shiters right up them because they didn't seem to cope with it very well when we were there 2 years ago. And trying to get this back on a positive curve for all these folk that were expecting trumpets and roses, then yeah, I think we'll get through the tie. I don't know how Thursday will go. I don't think we'll lose on Thursday because we tend to do well away from home in Europe. But yeah, I think we'll go through the tie, and then we'll be European semi-finalists. And after that, anything can happen.
Well, let's hope so. Like Robert Robertson, I would say at this juncture that Carvalho has only managed pub teams like Sheffield Wednesday, but don't want to upset Martin. There you go. You know, I only ever seen their manager a couple of times. Watched a couple of their games down south. It's really difficult when you're in the Championship and League One down south to get a grasp on how good a manager is because it's so competitive down there. Brian, will there be changes made from Sunday? Will Gio maybe bring in? Will we see a Lowry? Will we see a McCann? We won't see a McCann, but will we see a Lowry, or will it be Gio's normal preferred team? Do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's his normal team. He's not really changed much up till now, has he? No, I don't really see it changing much at all. You'll maybe see one or two changes at the very most. That'll be about it. Can't see much changing.
No surprises, Brian. No surprises.
No, not for me. Unfortunately.
What do you think here? No, I don't expect to see like a Lowry being thrown in a European game, even though, and I will state this until the day that I'm proved wrong, which I never think I will be. He's ready. He's ready to go and play in the first team. He's ready to go and play in Europe. I think the boy's that good. But is Gio leaving himself open to criticism if there's not that many changes made and we do not perform?
Yeah. I mean, he has to change a keeper. He has to leave out Aribo.
Yep.
He has to maybe leave out one or two others. Maybe bring Davis in. Kamara has to start. And he has to go to up top. We can't play with just Ruth through middle. It doesn't work. And even in Europe, it'll not work. So we have to go with a bit of pace. Maybe play a 3-5-2. Change it slightly. Still have the players down the wings, but more bodies in the middle and two boys up front fast, Kent and Sakala. Maybe leave Ruth out, but I would leave Aribo out. Libo's, I like Joe. In the first part of the season, he was odds on to be player of the season. In Scotland, I mean, for Rangers, but I say since January he's been poor. And I think Sunday kind of emphasises that when Gio didn't bring him off. I mean, Ramsey, and we all know he's not getting legs because he's coming back for a long-term injury. He's not played a lot of football, but he was the only player we had making the runs from middle to front, late runs into the box, and when he went off, that stopped, and he was trying to play the balls in through the lines between the centre backs, and nobody else is trying that, but he takes him off. Do you know that way? So I don't know. I'll agree with Brian. He'll not change much, but I hope he does, just for us, because I think we need to change it, and I think the players need to change it. He might bring in Arfield, but I don't think Scotty will get a new contract. I think Scotty could be in his last legs as well. I think as a big overhaul needed. They have the players, but I think Gio might surprise us, but if he goes 3-5-2, I think we'll have a better chance on him.
Do you think he will change tactics, Wolf?
It wouldn't surprise me if he starts off a 3-5-2. Then with Lundstrom in between the two centre backs, because if he needs to change it up, he can just step Lundstrom up a bit like he's done previously. As the boy said, I don't expect a lot of personnel changes. This will sound ridiculous, right? But I'll be mystified. I'll be shocked if Aribo starts. But I'll be even more shocked if he drops him, if that makes any sense. Because, Aribo needs to come out of the team because he's just a shell. He's got nothing left. He's absolutely knackered. He's not in a break. He's absolutely knackered. But I can't see any way that he drops him. But he has to for the guy's own good. He has to drop him.
Who comes in for him, Wolf?
Ideally Hadji, but he's still injured, although he was kicking the ball in a video yesterday, so I'd put him back in. If he can stand up and kick a ball, I'd put him back in, because they'll be petrified of him after 2 years ago. I don't know, it depends what he does. If he goes two up top and he puts Kent and Sakala through the middle, then Sakala comes in for Aribo, doesn't he? Really? That's the personnel change.
So say he doesn't change formation, Wolf.
Right.
Who have we genuinely got apart from young Lowry that could come in?
Well, Lowry's injured, I think, so he will not be coming in. I believe
Arfield doesn't do that role for me.
Arfield doesn't do that role, no. No.
Defensively, he's okay to a point, but Scotty's lost a bit of pace. Didn't have a lot to begin with, but he's lost a bit more.
Bring in
Who
Kamara.
replaces Aribo then?
If you're going to play a field, you've got to play him for the start. You can't bring him on a game with 20 minutes to go because he can't get in it.
No,
So
if
who
you're
replaces Aribo?
right, well, if you're dropping Aribo, if you're listening to me, if you're dropping Aribo in an away European game like we've got on Thursday, you can do worse than putting Glenn Kamara in there. Because Kamara plays further forward. Plays further forward for Finland. So put Kamara, does a totally different job, but it'll shore up the middle.
Steve Davis?
You couldn't bring Steve Davis. You couldn't ask Davis to do the job Aribo does because he's a different type of player.
You probably could just now because he wasn't done anything.
You can bring him into the team. And incidentally, while we're having a wee laugh, see this? You flagged up Braga's result on Friday night against Benfica.
Mm-hmm.
Benfica's not really any great shake. Some pub team from Merseyside's 2 up against them just now in the Champions League.
So.
Let's just gloss over the fact. I mean, they can't be up to much. Braga took 3 off, and Liverpool's 2 up against them. You know what I mean? So they can't.
Yeah, but that pub team got to the last 16 of the Champions League, so they can't be that bad. All right, okay. I was going to do starting lineups and stuff, but we'll not bother. I'll just do predictions now for normal viewers because we've got a wee bit of higher viewers tonight than normal. Maybe because of my attractive thumbnail that I put up there to draw the viewers in, so that on YouTube they can like and subscribe, and if they want to join as channel members, to get custom emojis and priority response to comments, and the join buttons there, I think. So yeah, we plug there as well. Always working. So for everybody in the comments, please do Thursday night your predictions. Wait a minute, Brian Miller, Martin, why does Gio stay if we don't win anything? Brian, we discussed that for about 40 minutes. Come on. Some people say if we don't win anything and they win the treble, then he goes. Some people say he stays, but I'm not going back. I'm nearly finished and I've got a chicken tikka in the kitchen. So predictions, score and first goal scorer. Get it in the comments. He's not like a goal scorer. So do that for me. Wolf will come to you first. I'm hungry. Prediction for Thursday.
Well, they know that I'm going to say it'll be Braga 0 because I never ever predict Rangers to lose a goal. So
Braga 0.
Given that I'm going and I want to be jumping about like a dafty, I'll go for 1-0 to Rangers.
Who's scoring?
And the goal scorer is going to be John Lundstrom.
John Lundstrom? Well, I mean, he's prone to a nice wee goal in Europe. Care?
2 each, but they'll score first.
And you don't have a clue who any of their players are from Gary Day, man.
But I think Timo will score for Rangers. I think Ramsey will score for Rangers. I think Ramsey will score for Rangers.
I'll take that.
Right, okay, quick question, Brian. Apologies. Does Ramsey play on Thursday?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
100%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has to.
So
No
he's all right now to play Sunday, Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday, Sunday?
Martin, if you can't play on Thursday, what's the point of bringing him here? If you can't play in these big games...
Listen, I get it.
No point in him.
I get it.
He's got to play Thursday. No, 100% he's got to play on Thursday.
Right, Brian, prediction.
1-1 Goldson.
1-1 Goldson. Okay. Right, let me have a wee quick look to see Sharpie's going 2-0 with a Tav Pet. There you go. Esberg. Will we have a quick guess at what the S stands for? Is it Simon? Is it Stephen?
Stefan.
Okay. Stefan Berg's going 2-2 Roof. Cubby Cubster 1-1 Sakala. Brian Miller 1-1 Sakala. I think a draw is actually a popular result. Not for the South Wales loyal, but they're going 2-1, and of course they would pick Ramsey, wouldn't they? Wouldn't you, Nicholas? Ewan Minton's going 1-1 Lundstrom. Reddy's 1-1 Kent. J-Max 2-0 Rangers. Ramsey first goal scorer. Channel member Ian Ross 2-1 Lundstrom, and it's kind of just keeping that same way going. Have we got any 5 or 6 nils? No 5 or 6 nils. What are you saying?
S. Berg said his first name's Scott.
Scott.
Oh, you ruined that. Stuart Finley's gone 2-1 to the famous with Goldson. Right, that'll do us, gents. Unfortunately, it wasn't a happier show than normal, and my apologies to people who are offended by that. But unfortunately, when Rangers give you melons, you need to make melonade, and unfortunately, it wasn't lemons. I just don't think that made sense. I need to eat. We will be back on Thursday night, straight after the game of reaction. We'll then back on Friday night for the preview of the St Mirren game. No doubt we'll go back over the European game and whatever else Rangers want to piss us off with. We'll talk about that as well. We'll probably talk about VAR on Thursdays, on Friday, as well. And then we'll be back on Sunday, and then Tuesday, and then Thursday, and then Sunday, and you know how it goes.
Mark, just a quick question for yourself before we go.
Oh.
I've heard David Robertson is looking to come back to British football. Would you take him as Rangers manager?
David, no problem. No problem. David Robertson, I'll come over and pick you up. No problem. I've got his number. I'll phone him.
I'll tap him up at Nasser.
Final comment with the night, Ewan Minton. Thanks, lads. Great pod. Enjoy your tikka, Martin. Keep your chins up. Chins, because I'm having tikka. They call it chins. See you Thursday. Listen, thank you, everybody. Kerr, Brian, Wolf, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody watching. Like, subscribe, share, all that clever nonsense. And we'll speak to you on Thursday.